We all heard rumours. I mean, all of us journalists heard rumours about Jimmy Savile. That is kind of slightly shocking, but it is true that, there were a lot of suspicions about him and about, certain other people that, they were up to no good.
Jimmy Savile went to Beecham in 1972. And I remember being in the dormitories and looking out and seeing these Sunshine coaches that are linked to Jimmy Savile. Now, the only way I can explain to you about Beecham, to me, Beecham was like a sweet shop to a paedophile. So Jimmy Savile would have been at home in his element with children, being able to do what he could do. In terms of Geoffrey Banner bouncing them off the knee, he's done that in so many times in Jim'll Fix It, where he had children on his lap and stuff like that. That reminds me the same of what Geoffrey Banner did to me. And he was in Beecham in 1970. That's the only record that I know at the same time I left. I wasn't there when Jimmy Savile was there, but he was in Beecham in 1972.
But it is with the benefit of hindsight. But when you watch, particularly Top of the Pops, which is this big pop show that went out once a week with all the latest hits and stuff, and years, and it had different presenters every week, and Jimmy Savile would be there, and he always had his arm around some young woman or some boy.
There's a video on YouTube on Top of the Pops where he's got his hand up a girl's skirt.
Yeah,
and it's number one time.
Still, some of Savile's behaviour was in the open. Dame Janet says the lady in distress here on the left later complained about being groped on Top of the Pops, and her sexual assault wasn't taken seriously.
It is extraordinary that it was never properly challenged, and there were certain people in the BBC who did either know about it or were the source of complaints about him and didn't do anything. But I think it demonstrates all the same things that happened in the children's homes that I wrote about, that he was in a position of power. He certainly did things like visit children's hospitals that were deliberately kind of to give it, not because he was a nice bloke, he worked as a porter in hospitals deliberately, which gave him lots of access to patients on their own, picking up their old cups of tea and stuff. And it was a perfect kind of, it was absolutely the same as, a care home worker getting a job in a children's home to have access to kids. So it was all kind of completely deliberate.
The youngest child abused by Savile was 8. Offences occurred in 14 different schools.
He would access schools through the vehicle of the Jim'll Fix It programme, and it's that cult of celebrity that he exploited to get himself into the positions where he could abuse. So he was responding to
children's letters. That's how we got into these schools.
Yes, but that's what the victims have been telling us.
There was just not a culture of kids being believed in a way that is completely different 50 years on. And I can't emphasise that enough, that nowadays we would just, the kid would much more likely be listened to. Not always, not kind of 100%, sometimes not reflecting the seriousness of what goes on and so on. But by and large, it would be a different story.